Hey, good morning, all of you that are arriving a little bit early, like me. Good morning to Madeline and Susie, and good morning to Candido and Emma. We will be starting very, very soon. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Saturday. And I don't know if any of you have been on Facebook already this morning, but I did a couple of interesting posts, including a shot of the flowers that have all of a sudden popped up in front of the workshop. And as some of you know, there I am. As some of you know, I don't know a thing about flowers. And so if it's not likely that a flower question will ever come up in a live stream as we're presenting a machine, but if it does, Susie from Minnesota is your gal, or Emma, or someone else that knows something about a flower. Because I shot that little reel, I just posted it on Facebook, and I go, I have no idea what these flowers are. I didn't plant them. That's why they're growing, and they just pop up every year. So the little bit I know about gardening is I think if they pop up every year, that's an annual. Is that what they call them? I have no idea. Ask Susie or Emma. I don't know. I do not know. And we might have other gardening folks in the live stream as well, but I'm not your man when it comes to gardening. No. So let's get into this machine that is out of Colorado, out of Denver, Colorado, and it belongs to Maxwell LaFawn. And this particular one is kind of a young vintage machine, because it's from 1960. And most of the PFAFFs that look similar to this that I usually present are going to be machines that are from the 1950s. So this is a bit of a youngster. It's kind of a youthful PFAFF German machine. I'll show you the front of this machine, and it's going to be representative of other machines you've seen as far as the feature and the layout, because it's almost a mirror image of two other models. And I highlighted this on Facebook. It's going to have a mirror image like of the model 332. That again is a machine that I've shown on this channel multiple times. And the 332 is the model that I sent to Heidi in the Swiss Alps to make shoes. If you haven't seen that, you can look it up on the channel, or you can also look up her VIP interview that I did with her. I think we chatted for almost 3 hours when she was in Switzerland. And I don't think she was in the Alps, and she doesn't yodel, but she's delightful if you've never heard that interview before. And then it also is representative of the model 338 as well. So that trinity of PFAFF machines from the 1950s/1960s is going to use exactly the same stitch card. And if you haven't seen one of these before, they're really a nice resource to have with a machine like this, so you know the full capabilities of it. And we'll be doing a number of the stitches off of this card today, and kind of checking out how it works. One side is going to be for single needle sewing. The other side is going to be for twin needle or dual needle sewing. So they give you the best of both worlds depending on what you're going to be stitching and what kind of project you have. Well, let's start with a little walk around this machine, and then I'm going to talk about why do I have a foot controller here, and why do I have another foot controller over here? And this one looks like it belongs with a Swedish beauty, and it does. And we'll learn a little bit more of why I have these two and what we're going to discover about the importance. And I talk about it all the time. Why do I always harp on the fact that the foot controller should have a higher amperage tolerance than the motor on the machine? You'll discover it during this live stream, why it's so critical. And I posted some of that on Facebook already. I know that Emma and others noticed it right away in the pictures that I posted on Maxwell's machine. One of the pictures shows my thermo infrared blah, blah, blah meter thing showing a temperature of about 150 degrees. Let me just say that you never, ever, ever, ever want either the motor or the foot controller to hit a temperature like that. 150 degrees is major danger zone. We're talking on the brink of fire. And when I did some earlier reels on this, and if you don't do Facebook, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But I did some earlier reels on Maxwell's machine, and I talked about a concern that I had about this particular Mercury foot controller. And they're very popular. They usually use them as a replacement with a lot of the German machines. They also will match them up with the Japanese machines as well. The only problem with that is most of the Mercury foot controllers are only going to be rated at about 1 amp, maybe 1.2 amps, but it's still not enough for a machine like this, because this machine is going to have a 1.3 amp motor. And when you're running it at a slower speed, it's going to generate a lot of heat and a lot of backup of electricity in the foot controller. And that's how you can run into a problem. If the foot controller is already underrated, this is rated up to 1.2 amps. This motor is 1.3 amps. If it's already underrated, you're really setting yourself up for a lot of challenges and potential danger. And we'll do a little bit of experimentation today with Maxwell's machine. We'll do a pre-temp of this foot controller, and we'll do some sewing on Maxwell's machine, and then we'll do another temp check on it to see what impact this motor and this machine has on an underrated foot controller like this. Now, with that said, the Mercury foot controllers are some of the better replacement foot controllers to marry up with most machines. They've got a fairly high amperage tolerance. They do not have the traditional carbon stacks in them, so they're a little bit more tolerant of slow sewing. But at the same time, they have their limitations. Anything has its limitations. And that's why recently, you might remember that machine, that 130-6, also a PFAFF machine that I just sent back to Tennille out in Oregon. And she was so impressed with the work and the workshop magic that went into that machine. But as she sat down to that machine and she started operating it with that electronic foot controller that was rated at right around 1.4 amps, according to the foot controller. But again, that was a Taiwanese foot controller, an electronic one. And sometimes they're a little bit liberal in how they rate their stuff. And if anyone in Taiwan or China takes offense to that, I'm sorry, but I've done enough testing to tell you that you guys sometimes fudge on the numbers a little bit. And what she discovered is, as she tried to engage that mighty PFAFF machine, that 130-6, with those twin cleated belts that drive that main shaft on her machine. This Model 230 only has a single cleated belt, as you would see in the photographs I posted on Facebook. So not quite as much locomotion needed to turn this Model 230 compared to Tennille's 130-6. And that's going to be true of all the 130-6 models, including the ones that have the little coffee grinder on the back, that embroidery kit on the back of them. They need a lot more oomph to get them into motion. And that puts a stress on the motor, that puts a greater demand on the electricity flow going through that electronic foot controller that is designed to kind of meter the energy out. So it kind of holds that energy back a little bit, and it makes the machine sound a little bit clunky, a little bit like it's struggling when she launches into it. And the point I'm trying to make is, she's an experienced seamstress, and she doesn't like that. She doesn't want the machine to sound like it's struggling. So I prepared this for Tennille out in Oregon. It's a Swedish Beauty foot controller rated up to 1.5 amps. It actually would tolerate even more than that. And it's wired to go with these PFAFF models that have this special plug-in design on the side that you can see in the shot right there. And this is going to allow her machine to launch and to go into locomotion with ease, instead of sounding like it's struggling with that electronic foot controller that she's trying to use right now. The other great thing about these Swedish Beauty foot controllers is they've got a lot higher tolerance when it comes to slow sewing. They're still going to get warm if you sew slow quite a bit, but they're going to be a lot more tolerant than other foot controllers like this one. And we'll find that out during this live stream today. We'll do a pre-test as far as the temp again, and then we'll do a post-test. So let me walk you around the machine real quick, and then we will try some sewing after we get an initial temperature on this. So over on this side of the machine, we've got the feed dog drop right here. Feed dogs right now are fully engaged. If you want to disengage them, you rotate it down to right around the 6 o'clock position. And then the feed dogs are going to be down. When you want to pop them back up again for regular sewing, if you're done with your free motion quilting, etc., then you go ahead and just slide it back to that position over there, and they're going to be fully engaged again. At least they should be. I hope they are. Yeah. Over here, we've got the on-off switch for the light. And of course, I replaced Maxwell's incandescent light with a LED light for bright, high output in seeing what's happening down at the needle and down on the bed as well. So that's really a big assist compared to what it had before. Over here, we've got a couple of controls. We've got reverse on this white control right here. If we rotate it to the left, we're going to be sewing in reverse. Over here, we've got our stitch length control, and we've got a setting anything from around 0 all the way down to, all the way up to 5. And if we're all the way on 5, we're going to be generating about 5 to 6 stitches per inch. Over here, we've got our bobbin winder. You can see that. To engage it, you just push this in. It goes in on the inside to the rim of the balance wheel. You wind your bobbin. Obviously, you disengage your clutch as well. And once it's done, it should just push it away automatically. When I wound the bobbin for this live stream, the disengagement worked perfectly each and every time. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes you have to do it manually, and that's okay too. Over here is Control Central. Control Central, along with what we have hidden kind of underneath the hood. And I'll start over here since this is kind of our starting point. This is going to be Control A. And it's important you know this. If you have one of these wheels, one of these stitch wheels, it's a great quick reference and a reminder as far as what these controls are. So Control A is here, Control B. Control C is also going to be your manual adjustment for needle position. Control D is going to be your control for stitch width. And the forgotten control that a lot of people forget about, because they'll look at the stitch card, and the stitch card will tell you, okay, controls A, B, C, and they won't really notice D on top. That's this control right here. This is probably the most important control right here because it's your on-off switch for your cam functions. If you leave this on 0 up here, your Control E, you can set everything else. You can set Control A, Control B, Control C, Control D. You can set them all. And you're not going to get any cam output until you turn it on. And again, the thing to understand about Control E is it's going to have numbers. Try to go right above it here. It's going to have numbers from, and they're not really in order, are they? It's going to have numbers from 0 to 1357, 1357. And the thing to understand about Control E is it's going to dictate how often that pattern is repeated. So if you want to have it repeated less frequently, you really want to stretch it out, then you'll set it on a higher number. You'll set it on a higher number, and it's going to elongate that pattern dramatically so it doesn't repeat as often. If you want to see that pattern repeated rapidly over and over and over again on a relatively short stitch length of, say, 4 to 6 inches, then you want to go with a lower number. I usually go with either 1 or 3 when I'm using pattern output on these PFAFF vintage machines. So just remember that. Number 1, you got to remember to turn it on. Number 2, the higher the number, the longer that pattern is going to be stretched out. If you want to see that pattern more frequently, go with a lower number, somewhere between 1 and 3, and then you'll see that pattern repeat over and over again, kind of like I did here with these stitch offs that I did off camera once I got the machine completely finalized. This is a lot easier to see that pattern repeat If we had it set on a higher number, these you'd only see probably about 3 of these stitch patterns in each row or in each column. Only see about 3 of these stitch patterns in each column. And you can see we've got a beautiful balance with this machine now. There were some major issues going on with this upper tension when the machine came into the workshop. And you'll see in the Facebook shots, I had to tear it down, and then I had to replace some components in it as well. There's different riser levels of the equivalent of a tension spring, but it's really a tension disc in these German machines. And it had the wrong tension disc in there for this machine. It would have been for a much earlier model. So knowing those particulars when you're encountering challenges with tension on a machine that you acquire, not knowing who's tinkered on it, is really, really important to overcome some of those obstacles. So let me show you the threading real quick as well, and then we'll jump into this. Threading is coming off the top. You're going to go through this thread guide right here. We're going to come through this thread guide. We go through the top eyelet. We come around the back side, and then we come out the bottom eyelet on this side over here. We then come down the tension discs, and you can see right away by the little wiggle jiggle. See that? There's no tension on the tension discs right now, which is how you always want to thread a machine. You don't want those tension discs pinching together with that presser foot in the lower position, because you're not going to get that thread seated in there properly. You're not going to get proper upper tension. So be aware that always have your presser foot lever in the up position when you're threading the machine. You come around the bottom, you then have to come between the little goalposts, as I call it, on this check spring, and you have to draw that check spring all the way to the right so it seats that thread right there in that little notch. See that little notch right there? You've got to get that thread seated in that notch. Then you're going to come up to the take-up arm right here, and there's 2 holes. You'll put it in the lower hole. You've got the 2 holes in case you were doing twin needle or double needle type sewing. You come down through this thread guide right there on the faceplate, down into that little notch that's part of the faceplate, another little thread guide right here, another little thread guide right there, and then finally you're going to thread the needle from front to back, which means with the flat side of the needle to the rear, that hook is going to be coming around the rear of the needle as it sweeps down to grab that thread that is adjacent to the scarf on the needle. The scarf, again, is going to be that little indentation in the needle right above the eye. And it's critical that you orientate a needle properly. Otherwise, the hook, when it comes around to try to grab that thread, it's going to miss it, and you're going to have continuous problems with skip stitching. So just be aware of that. On this machine, the flat side goes to the rear, which means the scarf is on the rear, which means the hook is going to be on the rear of the needle as well when it comes around to grab that thread. Okay? Let's see. I think that's about it. You might look at this faceplate area and say, okay, we know this is control A over here, but how do you adjust presser foot pressure on this machine? How do you adjust presser foot pressure? You're always telling us, Scott, how important presser foot pressure is. How do you do it? How do you do it? Well, you do it on this machine by having to remove the entire lid. It's not very convenient, is it? Because underneath the lid, right about there, there's going to be a screw that's kind of recessed, and you have to take a screwdriver and turn that clockwise if you want to increase presser foot pressure. What I've seen some people do is they've actually taken the lid off, they've gotten a drill, and they've drilled a hole right in the top of their lid so they don't have to keep taking the lid off every time they want to adjust the presser foot pressure. And that's certainly, if it's your machine, that's your prerogative if you want to do that. That's totally your prerogative. So that's a quick little walk around the machine. Really, I didn't talk about it in detail, but if you're winding a bobbin, you can certainly use this other spool pin over here, and you're going to come from the spool around this tensioner right here. You'll come around this side and kind of loop it back, and then come over to your bobbin here. So just kind of go around kind of clockwise, go around there, and then you'll get some nice traction on there without it coming off. So Control E is not only your on-off switch and your pattern designation as far as how often it repeats, but it's also going to be your tensioner for winding a bobbin as well. And you know what? I just noticed that I missed something. I was in a hurry to get set up today because yesterday I did the dreaded business taxes. Some of you know that. I shared that with you that I was just finishing my business taxes, and I see that I missed a thread point that's really, really important as far as giving this machine even thread. We should be going from here to here, not from here to here. So I've got to fix that before we start sewing and make sure that the thread is going from here over to here and then over to here. What do I always say? Sometimes a teacher, always a student, and sometimes a student that's rushing too much to get ready for these live streams. So at any rate, I'll fix that. So again, just make sure the only thing that I'll change as far as what I just showed you on threading is you go from here to here to here, and then over to here. And some people will use, when they're winding a bobbin, they'll kind of come around here and they'll use this little thread guide here as well. But this is really designed for that second thread. If you're doing twin needle sewing, it's more than adequate just to go around here again clockwise and go to your bobbin. But if you want to add that as a step, let me know how it works out for you, okay? So what else didn't I show you here? I think I talked about pretty much everything except for these two right here. This is going to be for doing buttonholes and setting basically restriction points. I never use it. Most people don't. And this is going to be to lower your light down if you need to change out that bulb. I think other than that, and I better take a big, deep breath because I'm really wound up today after doing all my tax work yesterday. So I better take a deep breath and slow down. Yeah, slow down a little bit, Scott. So, and you also notice I added a fun little open sign. I thought I would incorporate that into the live streams. You know, initially we're closed and then we open up for the live stream along with our bell as well, if I remember to do that. And you know what? If I forget to do this stuff, don't be afraid to remind me. Call me out and say, hey, Scott, where's the sign? Where's the bell? What's going on? We're so confused. We don't know if we're in class or out of class. Yeah, don't be afraid to be straight with me. I sometimes do forget stuff. I really do. Okay. So the first thing I'll show you is we do have this powered up. And again, that's a good reminder if you're working with your sewing machine, always remember if you're going to do something to your foot controller, and the way you open these Mercury ones is you basically get something right in this little slat right here and tap this over to open it up. Just tap this all the way over and then you can access the back of that foot controller. But be aware that it's electrified. Remember again, the foot controller is the gateway to the sewing machine for electricity. So the electricity flows through this first and then it makes its way over to the motor. So never, ever, ever clean your foot controller or service it in any way, especially not with some sort of a cleaner that might be flammable if it's plugged in, because you will have a fire recipe that you'll never forget. So just be real careful. I have had people, and I've told this to you before, I've had people that told me, I didn't know you could get shocked off of the foot controller. Duh, it's the gateway to electricity. So be careful and realize this is electrified right now. And if this back was open and you touch anything inside, you can easily get shocked. So don't do that. Please don't do that. So we do have electricity flowing through there right now. We're going to do an initial temp test on this before we put it into commission. We'll check up here. 63.1 degrees. Check over here. 63.1. Check over here. 63.1 over here. Oh, that's even colder, 62.6. And we'll check the bottom as well. See my little laser there? 62.6. So we're right around 60 some degrees on this foot controller. And when I did my testing yesterday, and I did these sew offs, not extensive, I did these sew offs. I did a little bit of sewing on denim. And then I did a little bit of sewing on 100% cotton just to check out the zigzags and the straight stitching on Maxwell's machine. This is all the sewing I did right here. This is it. And when I got done, I didn't feel it because I had my shoes on, but I reached down out of curiosity to touch the foot controller, and I had to pull my hand back. It was so hot. And then you'll see on Facebook, I did an immediate test on it, and it was 150 some degrees. That's way, 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 way too hot. So we'll see what happens today when we do some sewing with it. And if it gets that hot again, which it probably will, we're going to go ahead and switch it out for our Swedish Beauty foot controller that is going to be sent out to Neil out in Oregon. And then I'll set up something similar for Maxwell out in Colorado so that he doesn't have to be concerned about a fire as he's operating his machine, because it could happen very easily. So we know we're around 60 degrees. Let's put this machine into motion, and then we'll do a temp check after a little while and see what we get. I don't know if it's going to get as hot as it did yesterday, but I am suspecting it's going to heat up a fair amount. Okay. It's going to heat up a fair amount. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to start with straight stitching. So make sure my control E is off. It is. My control B is off as well. It's on 0. And if you don't turn control B off as well, what'll happen is it'll sometimes lock up your control D. It'll sometimes you'll go to turn your stitch width and it's like it's locked. That's because this is engaged. So just turn it to 0 if you experience that problem, and then you can get all the way over to 0 to do a straight stitching. I'm going to leave us on a center needle position. There's 3 different needle positions on this machine. If you push it in like this and up, you're going to be in position 1, which is a far left needle position. You can see that if I bring the camera over there. So position 1 is a far left needle position. Position 2 is right in the middle. And this is kind of our marker point right here, left, right, center. So you can see right now I'm at the center point on the needle position. And accordingly, our needle is now at the center position for sewing. If you go all the way down to position 3, which is pushing it in and down like this, you're going to be in position 3, and you can see that our needle is going to be all the way to the far right, all the way to the far right. And it's important you understand that position 1, 2, and 3, because the stitch card will require in many instances that you choose one of those needle positions. The stitch pattern might say go to position 2. So then you move it up into the center position. It might say go to position 1. You then have to push it in and all the way up. So you have a far left needle position. Or the stitch card might say go to position 3. Position 3 is going to be all the way down and will give you a far right needle position. It's really, really important you follow that stitch card when it comes to presetting that needle position. So always double check that. And what it looks like is this. I'll just show you an example of that right here. So you can see right here on that particular pattern, the red one, it's telling us to set control A to 7, control B to 1, and control C to 1. So again, control C is going to be our needle position. So if we were doing that stitch, we would have to push this in and all the way up to give us a far left needle position. So make sure if you have a stitch card like this, that you follow that very closely so you have a good outcome. If you don't have a stitch card like this, the good news is a number of years ago, I took a couple of hours at least, and I took still shots frame by frame of each one of the settings for the stitch card for the for this model 230 And then it also covers the models 332 and 338. I did it for single needle sewing and also twin needle sewing. And you can find that on the Cow Country YouTube channel by typing in something like stitch card or something like that. It'll pull this up, and then it'll have some frame by frame action showing you the settings for every stitch on both sides of this stitch card. So don't spend, if you don't need to, don't spend $30 or so on a stitch card remake that you'll find on eBay or Pinterest or Etsy. Just set up that particular video. And if you find a particular stitch you like, you can fast forward through these still shots that I took and then find the settings for that particular stitch that you want to sew. Okay. So that's I've gotten some real good feedback on having done that. So I'm glad I did. Okay. So what do we do next? Let's see what we're going to do next. I think what we'll do next is we've got a temp on this already. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the floor, and we'll do some stitching, and then we'll check the temp kind of intermittently to see how we're doing as far as it heating up. Also, I'm going to say my good mornings real quick as well. Say good morning to everybody. Oh, wow. I love, let me say this to y'all. I love our family. I love our Cow Country family because, yes, all of you tune into these live streams because you're wanting to see these machines. You're wanting to see these machines, and you're wanting to learn something from me. Let me just see. I hope I'm still not recording. I think I am. It's still open. Okay. Anyway, I'm getting distracted like a 9-year-old. So what I was going to say is I know that you love coming and seeing the machines that I'm going to present. A lot of you follow me on Facebook as well, so you'll see all those process photos that I post. On Maxwell's 230, I believe there's about 340 process photos that I took this machine through. And that's only the tip of the iceberg as far as all the processes and the servicing and adjustments and fine-tuning that I did to this machine. But it gives you an idea of the amount of time and the depth that I go into the machines. So that's all well and good. You like seeing the machines, you like learning about the machines, etc. You like seeing them do their dance, but you also love coming together with the family and interacting with each other and staying connected and making new friendships. And when I look at the live chat, already it's like I've got to scroll up to get to the top so I can say good morning to everybody, because you are a bunch of chatty people, engaging each other, greeting each other, chatting with each other, learning from each other, sharing with each other. And that's what this classroom is all about. So I love seeing that. And I love seeing the connection of the family when we come together. So anyway, let me say good mornings here. All right, so good morning to Susie again from Minnesota. And Susie again, and I'm just calling her out. She's the first one in the live chat, if you don't recognize her by the screen name for YouTube. And she is a master gardener. She's a master gardener. So as we're going into spring, if you're facing some challenges with your garden, or you're looking for a strategy on a particular plant or a flower or a bush or whatever, don't be afraid to reach out to Susie during the live chats and just ask a random question, about whatever. And I'm sure she'll be very kind and very gracious in sharing her knowledge with you. So good morning to Susie, our master gardener. Good morning to Candido from New York. Good morning to Madeline from Naples, Florida. Good morning to Emma, also from Naples, Florida. Good morning to Christine from Canada. Good morning. Who else do we have? Oh, that's fun. I feel like a pirate right now. I feel totally like a pirate when I look at Mad Dog Sloan. Mad Dog Sloan. You got to love that. Mad Dog Sloan. Good morning to Mad Dog Sloan. Good morning to Aaron Allen. Who else do we have? Still scrolling. Good morning to Al Koss. Oh, good morning to Renee. Good morning to Renee. I'm still scrolling. Chatty. I love it. Oh, good morning to Becky. Good morning to Becky as well. And I think I greeted everybody. That's in the live chat right now, at least. I think I got everybody. I don't think I missed anyone. If I somehow miss somebody, please forgive me. And I just got a text message, so hold on real quick. Oh, this is from no one that's in the live chat. This is from a friend of mine down in Illinois. But she has been in the live chats in the past. So, okay, cool. All right, I'm going to set my phone down for right now. But again, as Susie already shared, if anyone has a question or a comment that they want to address to me, because I get distracted over here and I'm not focused on the live chat, go ahead and text me, or sometimes the leadership team members will text me the question or the comment that someone is asking, and then I will listen for that text message notification and I'll respond to it. If you're feeling really adventurous and you want to be on the live stream, at least from an audio standpoint, you can also call me, and it'll be like the old time radio with a call-in program where I'll put you on speaker. You can ask your question, you can make your comment, and then you'll be a permanent fixture of that live stream, having called in live during the live stream. Almost sounds like I'm kind of repeating myself, live during the live stream. Yeah, whatever. But at any rate, let's get into this machine. Let's see what happens to that foot controller. That's really kind of my major focus in the beginning part of this live stream, is seeing if we can demonstrate why it's so critical that you have a foot controller that's going to support that motor output. All right. So, all right, let's see. All right, let's get busy. And to give our foot controller a little bit of a warm up, okay, give our foot controller a little bit of a warm up. And that's with no load on the machine. Okay, what should we start with? I've got, I think I'll save that one. Protected full grain leather. I think I'll save that. Why don't we do a little bit of denim? I got some denim here. What I did on these sew-offs with the denim is I didn't really push the machine for, its maximum. This machine could probably do 10 to 12 layers of denim without too much difficulty. If you can fit it underneath the presser foot, it's going to be able to do it. But I think for our purposes during the live stream, I'm not going to be going crazy with the thicknesses. Really, I just want to kind of put this machine to work. And I better move my needle position back too. There we go. Back to a center needle position again. Thinking about either doing 4 or 6 layers. What do you guys think? Should we do 4 layers of this? That would be basically taking this and folding it in half. If we do 6 layers, it's going to be kind of folding it in the middle and then folding it over one more time, getting us up to 6 layers of denim. I didn't test this off camera, and I think our needle is fine. We've got a 9014 Schmetz universal needle, and the universal needle, again, is going to give you a wide field of materials that we'll be able to stitch, including leather, during the live stream. So I don't think 6 layers would be a problem, but I'll leave it up to you all as far as whether we do 4 or 6. So I'll just get this right there, and I'll wait to see what y'all are saying. Yeah. So everybody, looks like everybody pretty much that is voicing their opinion is going with 6. So I'm going to go ahead and push my sleeves up so I'm ready to go to work here. Go ahead and fold this in the middle and then fold it over one more time. And we'll see if we can stitch down these 6 layers of heavy grade denim. And again, whenever you're dealing with multiple layers of a material, just be aware that the feed factor is going to be much more critical than if you're dealing with a single layer or a few layers of material. So you might have to make adjustments on that presser foot pressure. And unfortunately, again, on this model 230, you've got to take the entire top of the machine off to make an adjustment. So hopefully I tried to gauge the presser foot pressure to handle most of the sew-offs that we would do, and hopefully I set it at the right point. Otherwise, the result is the stitches will be stubby. So we'll see what happens. Okay, always launch. I say this all the time. Always launch with your take-up arm at the highest position. Take-up arm is right up here. And it's just beginning to go on that downstroke. All right, hopefully I got my feed dogs back engaged. It didn't click the way I wanted to hear it click, but maybe it'll click once I put this in motion. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Wow, that was really tough. I didn't know if we were going to get through all that. Didn't know if we were going to make it or not. It was kind of ridiculously easy, wasn't it? It was really, really ridiculously easy. So yeah, that was definitely the right call, saying let's go with 6 layers, because 4 would have been kind of an insult to this Western Germany machine, right? Kind of an insult. Let's take a look at this stitching. Again, 6 layers of denim, not a major challenge for this machine. Not a major challenge for this machine at all. Let's see which way we are. I think this is my top stitch. Pretty sure. It's our top stitching right here. Let's change the angle of the camera a little bit. See if I can maybe hold it like this. A little bit closer. A little bit closer. So some beautiful stitching, and it does look like it's maybe a little bit compressed as far as the length of the stitch. We're not getting the fullness of the length of the stitch, which is telling us that if we were going to be sewing a lot of denim 6 layers, we would want to look at bumping up that presser foot pressure, maybe even a little bit higher. And as machines age, if you didn't know it, that spring that is in the faceplate area right here, that spring loses its height. It actually starts to shrink, almost like we do as we get older. A spring will start to lose its height. It'll actually go down as much as 1 to 3 millimeters over time as it gets compressed, because the consistency of that metal that spring is made out of starts to soften a little bit. It loses its rigidity, which means as you compress it, it doesn't spring back to its full height after you do it over and over again. You can imagine over, since 1960, how many times that spring in this machine has been compressed. What you have to do then, and I've shown it to you before, is you have to take very carefully two screwdrivers and go on opposite ends of the spring and very lightly stretch that spring back out again, almost like the equivalent of a sewing chiropractor. A sewing chiropractor, you take that spring, it requires that you pull it. Obviously, you take that in this model, you would have to unscrew that presser foot screw all the way so you can get that spring out, and then you would be able to stretch it, reinsert it again, and then you would have a greater range of presser foot pressure. Also, on most of these PFAFF machines, when you take that screw out on the top of the presser foot channel, be real careful, because there's usually going to be a wafer thin washer that is right underneath that screw that allows the even depression of that spring as you increase or decrease presser foot pressure. It's really easy to lose them. And then your spring will not go down in the same way as evenly. So just be aware of that. Be aware of that and be very cautious as you're taking anything apart on the sewing machine. Really watch for those little parts that can easily get misplaced or lost, okay? So at any rate, beautiful stitching. Kind of hold it still like this, totality of the stitching. Again, 6 layers of denim. If you wonder, well, what does 6 layers of denim look like once it's sewn? The answer is it looks kind of like this. Kind of like this. Not a light sew off, folks. Not a light sew off at all. So that again is our top stitching. Beautiful top stitching. Turning over now for our lock stitching. And our lock stitching looks really good. The spacing, the formation, the integrity of the stitch. But I've mentioned this before in live streams. If you ever stitch something, in particular, your lock stitch will be most impacted by this. And you look at that lock stitch and it just has such a slight little tilt to the stitch. The stitch just looks like, instead of being straight across, it has a little bit of a tilt to it. That is a product of the upper tension not being adequate. It's not pulling up hard enough to straighten that thread out perfectly in alignment with the other stitches. So you'll notice a little tiny tilt to the stitch. That's kind of what I'm seeing on this lock stitch. I'll get real close so you can see it as well. But look for that when you're doing your sewing. If you see a tilt on the back of that lock stitch area on the bottom of the material, bump up your upper tension just a little bit, stitch it again, and you'll see that stitch straighten out just beautifully, just beautifully. Kind of like the slinkies. You pull the slinky and it straightens out beautifully. So this is our lock stitching. Again, good looking lock stitching, but it could be better. It could be better. There we go. I think I'm going to turn it over like this. It'll be a little bit easier for the camera to see it. This again is our lock stitching. I'm just kind of turning it upside down so the camera can focus on it more easily. There we go. Notice those stitches. They're very, very nice looking stitches. Very good looking stitches, but you'll notice periodically just a little bit of a tilt. It's usually going to be a tilt up on the stitching as you're looking at it. That's an upper tension factor. Upper tension. So again, that's our 6 layers of denim. It's not a light sew off. It's not an easy peasy sew off at all. But you notice I didn't do a hand start. I didn't, the machine didn't groan and moan and go, oh my gosh, what are you doing to us? What are you doing to us? This is a hard sew off. This 230 with that 1.3 amp motor, even with this inadequate pressure, even with this inadequate foot controller, it still got the job done. And that's the grit of the Western Germany sewing machines. That's the grit. All right, now I've let this rest too long, so we're not going to get an accurate idea of the foot controller unless I do some continuous sewing. And the easiest way to do that is going to be to do some of our pattern sewing straight away. So I'm going to put this to work doing some of our stitch card output patterns, and we'll see if we can heat up that foot controller a little bit. Get this into place, press your foot down. Now we have to do all of our setting. And I've got a little cluster of stitches that I'd like to try during the live stream. So I will select those probably in order. So the first one I'd like to do is going to be this red one right there. You can kind of see that in the shot, I think, looking over my shoulder. Yeah, you can see it. Our setting is pretty easy. It's 111. 111. Sounds like something you'd have on a breakfast menu or something like that. You know what I mean? So we're going to set our machine to 111, and then we're going to go through a lot of these stitches right here to try to keep sewing and sewing and sewing and sewing and sewing. And then we'll do a temp check on that foot controller. That's kind of what I was doing yesterday in prep for this live stream. And that foot controller heated all the way up to over 150 degrees. So we'll see what happens today. So Control A again is going to be on the top. We've got to set that to 1. Open up our little door. Right now we're on 4, 5, 6, and I'm turning it clockwise. That's the only way that you can turn. That's the only way you can turn this control. You have to turn it clockwise. Don't try to turn it the other way. You'll break it. So we got to get all the way to 1. I'm turning it this way. 7, 8, and finally 1. So this goes from 1 to 8, and we've got to set Control A on 1 to begin with. And this is our cam stack right here. This is what's going to generate those different stitch outputs when we tell it that we want to do one of these decorative ornamental stitches. We've got to remember to turn on our Control E, so let's not forget to do that. We'll come back to that afterwards. We'll kind of do these in order. The other thing I have to remember to do, and I mentioned it, is I've got to have this machine threaded properly. Right now, I missed this thread point right by Control B, so I've got to grab that thread very carefully, and I've got to draw it into that little saddle right there. So you can kind of see it goes from here to here to here, and then that way, kind of like I showed you before. And a lot of people will miss this thread point. So don't do what I did and set it up incorrectly to begin with. Now we do Control B, which is right here. We got to set that on 1. Control C is going to be in position 1. Remember, I told you the needle position is going to be position 1, 2, and 3. So we've got to move this all the way to the top like that, which is going to give us a far left needle position. We don't have to do anything with Control D. That's this control right here, because the machine cam stack is going to manipulate this as we're going through the sewing process. If I can get the right angle with the camera, you'll actually see this going zip, 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 zip. It won't be making that fun sound. That's only me, but you'll see it moving in the sewing process. The other thing we have to do with these ornamental stitches is we need to set stitch length. And what I recommend is setting it right around between 1 and 0.5. So we have to move it way, way over. Right now, we're all the way on 5. We're all the way over here. We got to move it over. And notice as I move it, our reverse is going to try to kind of sneak over. So you have to kind of watch for that just so you don't start sewing in reverse. Keep moving it, moving it, moving it, moving it, moving it. We're down to 2 now. We're down to 1. We're down to, we'll go right about there. Right about 0.75. 0.75. You can see where I'm at. 0, absolute 0 would be right there. You don't want to go too close to 0 because then you're not going to get any material feed. You're not going to get enough feed dog movement setting it too low. So we want to set it right around between 0.75 and 1 on that side, if you can see that in the shot. And the last thing we have to remember to do is we have to turn our cam stack on with Control E. So you rotate it like this, past 7, past 5, past 3. I like to go for the gusto, so I'm going to go all the way to 1. So we get the maximum repeat of that stitch pattern. In other words, it's going to shrink that stitch pattern down so we get more repeat in a single stitch column. If you set it way over here on 5 or 7, it's going to stretch that stitch pattern out, and you're only going to get probably 2 or 3 of them in a row, or in a column rather. So with that, I think we're pretty well set up at this point. I think we're pretty well set up. We'll get the camera in position, see if I can get the right angle, the correct angle. Kind of do it like this. That way you can see the Control D do its dance a little bit as well. There we go. Now you can see the best of all worlds. So again, we're going to be going for this first stitch pattern. I'm going to very rapidly try to go into the next pattern, next stitch pattern, next stitch pattern, to see if we can get that foot controller to heat up like it did yesterday. Regardless of how hot it gets today, I'm going to strongly recommend to Maxwell in Colorado that he go with the same type of foot controller that I've set up for Tennille for her 130-6 to avoid the possibility of a fire. So, all right, let's do this first stitch pattern. And if you hear a little clicking sound as that cam is actuating and going through its little dance, that's not a bad thing. That's what it's supposed to be doing, because it's a mechanical machine. It's not an electronic machine. It's not a computerized machine. You're going to hear those mechanical parts engaging and disengaging very rapidly in the sewing process. All right, so here's our first stitch. Let's get this going here. All right, here we go. I've got that one really, really shrunk down. I think I'm going to go ahead. And just bump up my stitch length just a little bit. I'm down 0.75. I think I'll bring it back up to 1. Bring it back up to 1 just so we have a little bit easier to see it. It's almost microscopic now. It's kind of funny. Kind of see what we got there. It's like really, really tiny. Really, really tiny. And that again is when it comes to cam outputs for machines, where I set the machine all the way down on 1 on Control E on top, so I get a more frequent repeat of that pattern. Someone else might not like that, and they might elect to set it on 3 or 5. So the look of the stitch pattern is going to be very different depending on the discretionary settings that you choose. All right, enough blah, blah, blah. Let's keep this machine working so we can do a test on that foot controller. The normal temperature for an operating foot controller is going to be right around somewhere between 90 to 100 degrees if you're working it pretty hard. All right, let's do this next one. So we did this first one, 1, 1, 1. We're going to do our next one right there. And we only have to change one control, and that is needle position for Control C. We're going to go from Control A is already on 1, Control B is on 1, Control C is going to go to the middle needle position, which is position 2 now. Position 2. So I just have to move one thing. This right here, Control C, excuse me, move that down to a middle position. And now we'll do this next stitch straight away. I just made a little bit of an adjustment on our Control E because it's making these so teeny tiny, making them so teeny tiny. I think I had it bumped over a little bit further than I did yesterday. All right, let's do the next one now. We'll do these very rapidly, and then we'll take a look at all of them. And again, what I get for stitch output may be very different from what you get depending on your discretionary settings. All right, let's do this next one now. Yeah, I think that's where I had it yesterday. Now we're just Everything's the same. Control A stays the same. Control B stays the same. All we're changing is needle position now to position 3, which is all the way down. So you'll see me push this in all the way down, which is giving us a far right needle position now. Far right needle position. All right, here we go. Yeah, I still have this very, very teeny tiny, very, very teeny tiny. All right, let's do the next one right away. And again, I have my presser foot pressure set pretty high right now, since we're going to be sewing different materials like we did the denim, the 6 layers. So you might see a little bit, just a slight amount of puckering as we're going down this 100% cotton, because the presser foot pressure is heavier than you normally would have it. Again, the heavier the material, the more multiple layers you have, you bump that presser foot pressure up. Thinner sew-offs like this, you're generally going to bump it down and not have quite as much presser foot pressure. But we're going to leave it static, so we might get a little bit of puckering as we go down that line. All right, so we just did 113. Now we're going to do 211 on this next sew-off, 211. So Control A has to be changed to 2. That easily. And then we have to check Control B is already on 1. Control C then has to go to position 1 as well, which is all the way to the top. So I'm going to push it in and push it all the way up, which is going to give us a far left needle position, a far left needle position. All right, so let's do this next one now. Just checking my... All right. There we go. I've almost got the settings the way I want them. And you might choose totally different settings. Again, on Control E, you might go with a totally different number than I did. You might go with a totally different number than I did. Yeah. I like the ones that I did off camera better. These are the ones I did off camera. I was using a slightly different setting on these. So it's presenting them a little bit differently now. I've got them kind of shrunk down. All right, let's go to the next one. So 211 is the one we just did. Kind of hard to see. It's that yellow colored one. Now we're going to go one more over, and we're going to go to 212. 212. We'll get that pattern right there is what we're aiming for. 212. So we already have our Control A on 2. We don't even have to open that panel. This is already, Control B is already on 1, so we don't have to change that either. But we do have to change our needle position, Control C. We've got to move that to position 2, which is a center needle position. There we go. And that's it. Let's go ahead and do this next pattern. And I'm just leaving the camera kind of like this, so you can see Control D being manipulated by the cam stack. Let me get the right angle there. There we go. All right, here's our next one. All right, I'm going to move right into the next one right away, and then we're going to do a temp test on that foot controller. I'm just going to feel it real quick. Not too bad right now. It is cooler in the workshop today, though, than it was yesterday. So ambient temperature also plays into that. So we did 212. Now we're going to go 213. 213 is our next one. So all we have to change is the needle position all the way, moving Control C all the way to the bottom. And we'll do the next one now. All right, here goes our next one. All right, let's do this next one now. Okay, so we did 213. Now we're going to go to 311. 311. We'll kind of get a pattern similar to that. 311. All right, so we have to change our Control A from 2 to 3. Then we have to make adjustments on, let's see, what are we on? All we have to do is change Control C, because Control B is already on 1, and Control C has to go to 1, which is all the way to the top, which will give us a far left needle position. A far left needle position. All right, here we go. Let's check this one out. Three, 1, 1. Now we're going to do 3, 1, 2. So you can see what it's allowing you to do by just changing needle position. It allows that cam stack to generate a totally different stitch output by just repositioning where that needle position is starting, whether it's far left, far right, or center. In this particular instance, we're going to be going with a center needle position because you can see it's position 2. I think you can see that in the shot. So 3, 1, 2. Control A is already on 3, I believe. Yep. Control B is already on 1. So the only thing we have to make sure we have is a center needle position. I push this in, Control C, and bring it down to a center needle position. So we'll go ahead and do this next stitch off now. And it may be hard for you to see. I'm going to move the camera over even closer so you can focus just on this knob right here. I'll kind of angle the camera down a little bit. So 312, now we're going to do 313. See what we think of that one. So Control A is already on 3, Control B is already on 1. And all we have to do is go to position 3 on needle position, which means we're going to bring it all the way down to a far right needle position. And we'll try stitching this off now. Yeah, I definitely like the settings I picked yesterday much better when it comes to the display of the stitches. We can look at them in contrast, and that way you can gain an appreciation for how dramatically the stitch presentation can change depending on where it is set, where it's set. So now I'm going to go with 411, 411, and then we'll do a temp test finally on the machine. So I'm just going to take Control A. I'm going to turn it over to 4. Control B is already on 1. And then I just have to move this all the way up to position 1, which will give us a far left needle position. Far left needle position. Yeah, I'm actually kind of glad the stitches are presenting the way they are with the settings that I chose for today, because it shows you the dramatic impact that the settings you choose for the machine can have on how those stitches are going to present. All right, let's do this next one, and we'll do a temp test on that foot controller. And again, it is cooler in the workshop today, so we might not see as dramatic of a heat up of that foot controller. We'll see. We'll see what we get. All right, let me get that right over here. Let's get that foot controller off the ground. All right, remember we started right around 60 degrees. Let's see how we're doing now. So on this end of the foot controller, right around 85.1. I'll show you if it goes up higher. So I got a little bit of a hotter point right there, right around 89, almost 90 degrees. But I sewed quite a bit more yesterday, and I also had it by the other workbench. So maybe the carpeting that it was sitting on there caused that heat to build up even more. But we haven't done nearly the amount of sewing, and I've been doing a lot of pauses in between as well. So so far it's okay. So far it's okay. But again, I definitely wouldn't stick with an underrated foot controller. It's going to hold the motor back, and also it's going to allow that foot controller under the right circumstances to heat up as much as I got it yesterday without even trying, over 150 degrees on the foot controller. So you just got to be careful. You got to be careful. All right, which way am I facing? I think I'm facing this way. Let's see what else I have here. I'm just kind of bouncing around a little bit. Let's see. There's so many to choose from. So many to choose from. Yeah, we'll go over to this side. We'll kind of goof around a little bit. Let me see here. I tend to bounce back and forth between the single needle and the dual needle sewing. So I'm going to try this pattern on this side over here. 5-4-2. It's a very different setting than we've had. 5-4-2. Let's give that a try. So up top, I'm not going to show you again because you've seen it so many times. We'll turn Control A up to 5. Now we're going to turn Control B up to 4. Show that to you over here. Control B goes up to 4. And then the last setting we need is Control C, which is this right here. And it's telling us to put it in position 2, which we know is going to be the center needle position. So I've got to bring this down. And then you can see now we're in the center needle position on Control C. And Control D is going to be automated, so we don't have to do anything with that. All right, let's give this one a try, see what we think of this one. I should actually, you know what I should do is I should switch to, let me do this. I'm going to preserve this one so we can look at the contrast in the way the stitches present. I'm going to put this one to the side for right now, and we'll lay down the other stitching using this side of the stitch card and see how they contrast dramatically in how these stitches present. Let's do that. Get that into position. I'll try to do these really close together, real close together. All right, I'm going to repeat this pattern again. What did I set it at? This is 5, 5, 4, and 2. 5, 4, 2. So this is the one that we just did, 5, 4, 2. I'm going to repeat it again, 5, 4, and 2 on this side of the stitch card, 5, 4, 2. All right, let's do our next one. Shorten up that stitch length just a little bit. So we're right about at 0.75 on stitch length right now. So 5, 4, 2 we did. Let's see here. Pick something else. We'll jump all the way over to here. Why don't we try 2, 4, 1? 2, 4, 1 is that yellow one right there. 2, 4, 1. So Control A has to go from 5 all the way to 2. You can see there's a little marker right there that you line it up with, right near the front of the machine. All right, 241. This is already, Control B is already on 4. And then we have to set our Control C, which is needle position, on position 1, which is all the way to the top. We'll push it all the way up, and that will give us a far left needle position. Far left needle position. All right, let me adjust the camera a little bit. All right, let's do this stitch. Yeah, I like this better. I like this better. And we'll look at all these stitches. I'm just kind of trying to replicate what happened to that foot controller yesterday, if I'm able to do that. Let's see, that looks like a fun one. Let's see how many choices we have. Actually, quite a few choices. 241. It's interesting there. It's almost like a diamond pattern there. The blue one, a diamond pattern. 3, 4, 1. So Control A we put on 3, Control B we put on 4, and then needle position is all the way to position 1, which is a far left needle position. Let's try this one. 3, 4, 1. 3, 4, 1. So I'm changing Control A to 3. Control B is already on 4. And then our needle position goes all the way. Actually, we already are on far left needle position, so we're good to go. All right, let's give this a go. And then I will grab the stitch card and give you the opportunity to pick some stitches as well. I haven't forgotten all of you. I'm just really focused on this foot controller because it's such a major safety issue when it comes to the potential for fire. I want to see if I can replicate that, but by all means, I'm going to go with my numbers of yesterday, because if it happened once, it can happen again. All right, here we go. All right, I've been keeping you in suspense long enough. Let's do a quick temp on that foot controller. See if we're spiking any higher. And then I'll show you the stitching we just did using this side of the stitch card versus the other side. Yeah, I wish the temperature was the same in the workshop today as it was yesterday. It was warmer in here, not hot, because I'm underneath ground. It stays relatively cool, but it was definitely warmer than it is today. Temperatures dropped quite a bit. So now I shot this side of the foot controller over here. We're at 91.9. $99.8. So we're right just shy of 100 degrees right now. So if it goes anywhere above this, with the temperature in the workshop being considerably cooler today than it was yesterday, I'm already confident that this is not the right foot controller for this machine. It's not even rated at the proper level. It's not even rated properly. It's a tenth of an amp lower than it should be, and it's problematic. But I just want to really be mindful of this to see if we get much above that. Okay. And once the foot controller stops, there's still electricity trapped in there and it generates heat. Look at this. You couldn't read, I think you could see that on the screen. It was 107. 107. All right, let's keep an eye on this. Let's see what else we get. We'll put it to work some more and we'll see what else we get as far as temperature. 107 is definitely higher than you want to be for the amount of sewing that we've done. Definitely higher than you want to be. Okay, I've held you in suspense. So let me show you the contrast. And this again depends on the side of the stitch card you choose. We started over here and then we moved over to here. And this is really intended for twin needle sewing. This is really intended for twin needle sewing, but there's no reason you can't sew these patterns with a single needle. It's just going to present them much differently. And you'll see that when we look at it. This is going to be your single needle sewing on this side that we're kind of messing around with now. But we got all of this, some beautiful micro size stitching, but the patterns are almost impossible to see. They're so compressed, they're so tiny. Even though we have that Control E set on the largest setting for repeat patterns, it compresses the stitch width and the stitch length so much. The patterns are almost pointless when you try to sew them as a single needle when they're intended for twin needle. But there's still some beautiful stitching. This one I did on the other side of the pattern card. If you look at that and go, wow, that's really a big difference, because I turned that pattern card over and we started sewing with a single needle pattern. But you know me, I always have to color outside of the lines. So these are all ideally to be sewn with a twin needle. We sewed them with a single needle, and that's the result you get. We turn it over, lock stitch, no difference. Beautiful lock stitching. It's just that the pattern for the twin needles, when you sew them with that single needle, they're going to be ridiculously compressed. They're almost going to be, they're going to be really tough to see. They're going to be really, really tough to see. Then I flip that card over for contrast, sewing from the single needle side like I'm supposed to be doing. And we got this result with the same settings on the machine. We didn't change a thing as far as the stitch width, stitch length. The stitch width is going to be dictated by the cam stack. The stitch length is what we had it on, which is 0.75. So you can see the dramatic difference. I'll kind of hold it like this. You can see it more easily. And this is more what we want to be seeing, isn't it? This is more representative of the ornamental beauty of these PFAFF vintage machines in being able to generate this with mechanical processes, nothing electronic, nothing computerized. Let me hold it like this. Camera's having a little bit of trouble focusing. Let's try that again. There we go. There we go. And you can see this pattern on the far side over here. We could even tighten that up more, couldn't we? We could make that even tighter and more defined by shortening that stitch length even further. We're at about 0.75. We could go down to about 0.5 and still get material movement. But you can imagine if someone is not familiar with the machine. Here's our lock stitch, by the way. Let me show you the lock stitch and then I'll blah, blah, blah. So some beautiful, beautiful pattern stitching. with those 3 stitch patterns. We'll do some more, and the next ones we do, I'll let you pick them. I've just got to figure out how to do it. You know what I mean? We'll put them in numerical order, and you can pick a number, and then I'll do my best to try to sew that pattern. But you can see the sharp contrast, and this is where if someone isn't knowledgeable about a machine and they're using a PFAFF 230 like this, and they're getting this type of ornamental output, they're going to get discouraged. They're going to look at that and go, well, wow, that's not really very impressive. I really don't like the look of that at all. I don't think this is a good machine. I don't think this is a good machine. When in fact, it's a matter of choices that sewist is making in relation to using which side of the pattern card and also the settings that they choose to make. Disappointing? Inspirational when they get something like this. So never sell a vintage machine short. In most cases, if it's not inspiring you, if it's not getting you excited about the sewing process, it's usually going to be our fault as a sewist in the fact that we're choosing to sew with this side of the card, which I did very intentionally, by the way, the twin needle side of the card, and we're getting an output that is less than spectacular. And then all of a sudden we say, well, let's apply the single needle card, this side, and you get results like this all of a sudden. And that's where a classroom like ours is a fun place to be, because it opens our eyes to the fact that sometimes when our machines don't meet our expectations, it's because we are setting them up for failure. We are setting them up for failure. Just like if I had not addressed this simple little issue right here with not having this point threaded on the machine, what do you think we could have experienced with not having the thread feeding properly from here to here and then over to here? What could happen as we're going through the sewing process? Anyone want to type in the live chat what you think could happen by us missing this threading point and jumping the thread from here across the top right over to here? What could happen? What do you think could happen? Oh, hello to Ronald as well. And if there's others that have joined as well, I see Ronald's name down there. So if there's others that have joined as well, welcome to you also. Now let's try to get all of you involved a little bit. And I might have to cut some more. I might have to cut some more material, and or maybe we'll do the rest of these decorative sew-offs on leather instead to try to branch over. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. We'll finish off this piece of material, this 100% cotton with the stiffener. But I want to get you involved now in picking some of the stitches, and I'm going to give you a limited number of stitches to pick from. Sort of limited. Let's see here. Okay, so if you look at the stitch card, I'm not going to give you incredibly limited, actually. Let me see how far I can go with this. Yeah, I mean, that's quite a few stitches to choose from. Let's do this. So if you can see it in the shot, it's kind of hard to see it, but there's a black marker right here on the stitch card, a black marker right there. And then to the right of that, we've got all of these potential stitch patterns, starting with here, here, and going all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down to over here. So from here all the way to here. I think you can see that in the shot pretty much. So I will give a numerical value to these stitches. Some of them we've already sewn, a couple of them we've already sewn, but I'm going to give a numerical value, and you can pick the ones you want me to try to sew. And I might cut some more material real quick so we can sew all of them in a grouping picked by all of you instead of chosen by me like the initial ones I did. So starting right here, I'm going to call that stitch number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, I think that's 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So 24 is the very last stitch, the yellow one down on the bottom there. Let me do that one more time. I don't know if I had the correct camera angle. So starting on top, stitch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is this arrowhead type thing. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So any of the stitches from 1 to 24, if you want to pick the stitches and type them into the live chat, I will sew one of those stitches between 1 and 24. We'll do several of those. I'm going to kind of hold it here for a little bit so you can get a real good look at the stitch card. Again, any stitches from right here with this red one all the way across, all the way down to 24, which is this yellow one right here on the bottom. 1 to 24. And we could do the same thing on those other PFAFF models as well. We could do it on the 332 that went to Switzerland, or we could do it on a 338 as well. They're all going to use the same stitch card. So 1 all the way down to here to 24. And in case you really go crazy with this, I better get some material and cut it pretty big and wide so we can have quite a bit of room to stitch. You know what I mean? All right, so let me move this to the side for a second. Maybe what I'll do is I'll set it on the bed. And again, we're looking from here to here, and I'll angle the camera down at it so you can continue to study it a little bit. Not sure if that's very helpful, but anyway, let me cut some more material while you're looking at that. And then you can pick the stitches we're going to do, again, starting all the way up here with stitch 1, all the way down, all the way to the bottom here at almost the 6 o'clock position with that yellow stitch, which is going to be stitch number 24, I believe. Stitch number 24. All right, let me cut some. I'll put on some polka music for you real quick. And then we'll resume sewing with this model 230. I don't know. I hope you can hear that polka music. I'm using it on a different device, and it seems to play it a little bit more easily. Okay, so unless I switched it around, I don't think I did. As we're looking at the stitch card here again, the choices start over here with stitch number 1, the red one, and then it goes across like this. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24 is right on the bottom here, this yellow one. So all of these stitches you can choose from. So I'm going to look at the live chat now, and maybe with a moderator's help, we'll see what stitches have been selected, and then I'll go ahead and put this machine to work to sew them. And hopefully I don't run out of bobbin thread. I don't think I will. Okay, so I'm going to set the stitch card right there. Oh, and if you didn't see it in the last live stream, these are my Guggenheim scissors, which originally I told you they were made in Germany. They're not. They're made in China, but they engineer them with German quality. And I can testify to that based on how they cut. They're just unbelievable cutting scissors. So if you want to check them out, they're advertising on the Cow Country channel right now. Again, it's Guggenheim, and they got a cute little, royal crest up here in the whole shebang. And I have been communicating with one of the owners, and apparently they've gotten several people that have already ended up purchasing the scissors after seeing them on the channel. So that's always good for a person trying to sell something. You know what I mean? Okay. So I'll set that there again. Let's see what the folks are saying in the live chat. So 5 and 20 are being asked for. Exactly, Robin. Oh, good morning to Robin, too. Good morning to Robin. I already said good morning to Ronald. And I'm not going to scroll up. Those are all the ones that I've seen. So it looks like number 20 and number 5. Number 5 and number 20. So let's just do number 5 first, and then we'll do number 20 next. And I'm going to leave the sewing light off right now because I think it'll be easier. It's easier to see the material when the light is off. All right, so number 5, let me see. This is number 1 again. So number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 is this black arrowhead thingy, what-do-you-call-it. So we're going to try to do number 5 first, and then we'll look at number 20 after that, number 5. So for number 5, I need to set Control A to 2, Control B to 4, and Control C to number 2, which is the center needle position. So let's do that. 2, 2, 4, 2. 2, 4, 2. All right. So Control A first. We're going to change that to 2. And again, always turn this clockwise. Don't try to force it going the other way. So we have Control A on 2. Control B we have to put on 4, and we're already on 4. Now, the good thing about Control B, and I should tell this to you, unlike Control A, Control B you can turn either way. So that's kind of nice. You can turn it clockwise. You can turn it counterclockwise. Most of us automatically are going to turn it clockwise. So we're already on 4, but we'll pretend that we're not on 4. So now we're on 5. We're on 0, which again is going to shut off the function along with the Control E on top. Control 1, number 2, number 3, and finally we're back to 4 again. And then we finally have to set our needle position on 2, which is the center needle position. We were all the way up, which is position 1, which is a far left needle position. We have to move it down to the center position, okay? Our stitch length, we're going to go just a little bit shorter. Right now we're at about 0.75. It's going to go down just a tiny little bit more, right about to 0.5. So right now on stitch length, we're positioned right between 0 and 1. Right between 0 and 1. We're way down there. Way down there. Okay? All right. I'll try to get the camera angle right. because I want you to be able to see the machine stitching, but I also want you to be able to see the function of that Control D, which is kind of fun. So 242, again, we're going to be looking for a pattern, something like that. Ideally, I would be sewing with a smaller needle when we're looking to some of these ornamental type stitches. We're using a size 90-14 universal, but we're using it on leather, so I think it's going to present pretty well. Let's see what it looks like. All right, I think I'm in the right position. Let's give this a go. Here we go. Yeah, it's a pretty pattern. We could have even made it tighter than I did. We're all the way down on 0.5, all the way down on 0.5, but we could have even gone a little bit closer to that 0 to tighten it up even more. Give it even a tighter presentation, a little bit more pop. But this is what we got on that pattern, pattern number, what is it? Yeah, this one, the black one. So again, a little bit tighter would have been a better choice. And also, if you're going to be doing this as an embroidery type function, you would use a size 7511 needle by Schmetz, an embroidery 7511 needle, and you would be sewing it, preferably on a material other than protected full grain leather, which is what we have in front of you right now. This is protected full grain leather, but still a beautiful. Let me turn it like this. Come on, camera. Come on. The camera's saying, no, I don't want to focus. I don't want to focus on that. Let's try it like this. There we go. There we go. This camera thinks it's Saturday. It's definitely Saturday for this camera. So a pretty pattern, I would want to go even tighter on that stitch length to give it even more clarity of stitch, to get that pattern even more pronounced. But all in all, it's a beautiful, beautiful sewing job by this machine on 3 to 4 ounces of protected full grain leather. But you can see as you look at that pattern, we can tighten that up even more than we did. Tighten it up even more. Lock stitch. It's going to be pretty easy to see it on this protected full grain leather. I think it'll be pretty easy to see, but it's going to be a little bit muted by the nap of the leather. A little bit muted by the nap of the leather. You can see it popping through there when I pull it back, but otherwise, even with a flatter nap like this on this protected full grain leather, it still kind of covers up that stitching on the back a little bit. But all in all, a beautiful pattern. Let's go ahead and look at pattern number 20 now. There it is. Let's look at pattern number 20 now and see what all of you chose as far as pattern 20, and pick more, because I'd like to do several on this leather to see how it presents on the leather versus how we could sew the same pattern. Matter of fact, let's do that right now. We're going to sew the same pattern on 100% cotton with a stiffener using exactly the same settings, not changing anything. I won't even change the stitch length. And we'll see how it presents differently potentially on cotton versus leather. Right now we're on leather. So let's do the same pattern on cotton. Matter of fact, we'll do it on this cotton right here that we have room on still. Same pattern, different material. Okay, we'll buzz down this and see what we think of this one now. And it might not change the appearance very much because we're working with a universal needle, and it's a fairly large universal needle for the type of sewing that we're doing. Again, the ideal needle size for the type of sewing we're doing would be right around a 75-11, size 11 versus a size, size 14. So we're about 3 sizes higher than we should be ideally for decorative ornamental type stitching. All right, let's give this a go. And again, the clicking you're hearing is normal. That's okay. That's the mechanical function. I actually like the way it looks on the leather better than on the cotton, to be honest with you. Well, we'll see what you think. We'll look at the two of them if we can at the same time, and you can see what you think as far as the way the stitch pattern that you chose presents on cotton versus leather. So let me see if I can do it. Well, that's probably not going to work. Let's do it like this. Let's do it like that. I don't know. Now that I'm looking at the cotton, it's pretty cool too. It's pretty cool also. So the pattern on the brown obviously is the cotton. The pattern on the blue is the leather. Exactly the same pattern. Exactly the same pattern, just different materials. Same needle, same machine. Same camera that doesn't want to focus. It'll focus eventually when it wants to. There we go. So you can see how the stitching varies as well with identical settings, identical machine, identical needle, identical thread, but we're going from leather to cotton, and the stitch will present just a little bit differently. I don't know about all of you, but if you want to type in the live chat, which presentation of the stitch pattern you like better? Do you like it better on the protected full grain leather, the blue stuff, or do you like it better on the 100% cotton with stiffener? There we go. See if I can do it like this. Maybe it'll make it easier for the camera, maybe not. There we go. You see, when we do that cotton, it seems to tighten that pattern up even more, doesn't it? The cotton allows us to get that pattern even tighter without changing any settings on the machine. So just be aware of that as you change material types and you're doing ornamental, decorative type stitching like this, pattern stitching, whatever you want to call it, it's going to change the appearance of that stitch, isn't it? That stitch pattern is going to present differently as you go between the two material types. I think it's out of focus again. Anyway, you get the idea. We turn it around. We'll kind of look at that lock stitching now. You know, the best way I can do it, maybe like this. This is our lock stitching on the cotton and on the leather. And this is that last pattern that you just chose. The last pattern you just chose. That camera is not happy today. Maybe like this. There we go. This again is our lock stitching on the back of the leather and our lock stitching on the back of the cotton. So the point I'm trying to make is it changes, doesn't it? It changes as far as how it's going to present on the material choice you make with regard to that vintage sewing machine being able to lay that stitching down. Cotton versus leather. So let's try stitch number, I think it was 20, right? Stitch number 20 now on the protected full grain leather. Stitch number 20 on the protected full grain leather. And then we'll try the same thing. We'll try the same thing on the cotton again to see how they contrast. Okay, I'll do my counting as best as I can here. Let me angle that down a little bit. Okay, so this is stitch number 1, and you wanted stitch number 20, I believe it was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So you like the black ones, apparently. If I got it correct, this is going to be stitch number 20 way over here. This one right here is the one that you picked. This one. So something about the black stitching, maybe the way it presents on this card, because you chose this one, stitch number 5, I believe it was. And now you want to see stitch number 20 all the way over here. So the setting for stitch number 20 is going to be 7, 4, 2, 7, 4, 2 for this stitch right here. This is stitch number 20. 7, 4, 2. Let's see what that looks like. So Control A is to go to 7. So we have Control A on number 7 now. Control B has to be on 4, and we're already on number 4. You can see that right there. It's going to be the center point on top. This again is going to be your Control B, so that's correct. And then we have to look at needle position on the machine. Right now, it looks like we were on a center needle position. Again, your positioning choices for here in relation to the card is going to be position 1 all the way at the top, which is going to give you a far left needle position. Position 2, which is going to give you a center needle position. And then position 3, which is going to give you a far right needle position. For this stitch pattern that you chose, we want to go to position 2, which is going to give us a center needle position. Now, one thing I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to look at our stitch length. Right now we're at 0.5. I'm just going to go a tiny little bit below that. Just a little bit below, not much. Because again, if we get too close to that 0, we're not going to get any material movement at all. Yeah, that's probably a little bit too far. I don't want to be too adventurous here. So you can see where I have it right now. I think you can see that in the camera shot. We're just a little bit below the 0.5 marker. Yeah, probably like around 0.4. We're not quite in the middle point, which would be right around 0.25. And that's really taking that stitch length way, way down, way down. So let's see what we get this time. Again, with the other stitch pattern that you wanted to see, we'll do it on the leather, protected full grain leather, and then we'll do it on the cotton and see how they contrast. And you've seen this little Control D doing its little blah, 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 blah. So let's get a little bit closer now, see if we can give you a down shot on the stitching itself. There we go. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so this is the other pattern you chose, and we've got all of our settings appropriate. Let's see what we get. All right, here we go. Okay, we'll take this around and we'll take a look at this. Take a look at this stitching. And I don't know if I specifically mentioned, I don't think I did. I mentioned what kind of needle we're using. We're using a 9014 universal. And the packaging with the Schmetz needles can change a little bit. Let me show you a contrast. It's supposed to be the same needle, but it looks very different. I might not even have any of those left. I'll show it to you in a leather needle, but we're not using a leather needle. But the Schmetz packaging can change when you buy it in these bigger packets. This is the type of needle we're using right here. It's a universal. They also refer to it as a 130/705H. And then obviously a 15x1 needle. But this is the needle we're actually using in the machine right now. And when you buy it in smaller packages of 5 needles, the packaging will look more like this. It'll say universal. Here it says leather because this is a leather needle. But imagine it says universal and the packaging will look more like this. So in either case, you're dealing with basically the same needle. Just realize it might look differently depending on where you buy it. Okay, so let's look at this stitch we did now. This is going to be the second stitch that you all picked. And then I'll look at the live chat and see if there's any other picks that you have. And I'll show you the stitches again if you'd like me to do that. I can show you the stitches again so you can pick the one that you want to see. So top row was the first one we did. Bottom row was the second one. And I'll show you the top stitch and the lock stitch on this. And hopefully the camera will decide to be nice. Let's try it like that. There we go. So it's a good looking stitch. Again, you lose a little bit of the definition, I think, on the leather. I think when we stitch this on the cotton, it's going to present just a little bit with a little bit more pattern clarity. And again, if we reduce the size of the needle from a 9014 to a 7511, we'll get even better pattern clarity. We could also look at changing thread. Right now we're using a Coats & Clark dual duty XP thread. We could go to an embroidery thread and even look at getting more pattern definition out of this. There it goes again. Out of focus. The camera is wanting to be off duty today. It's not wanting to work. Not wanting to work. It likes this angle better, apparently. Lock stitch. Again, the nap just makes it a little bit difficult, doesn't it? But you can kind of see it popping through there. So that is our sew off. Again, it's going to be that bottom row that we just did second of that second pattern that you wanted to see. Now we're going to do the identical pattern and do it on 100%. See if that helps. Do it on 100% cotton and see how the pattern looks different. Okay. Let's try this on cotton now. And we'll see if the pattern looks dramatically different. Just make a mental picture of what you saw on leather. And then we'll try this on cotton now. Can you believe we've been together 2 hours and 15 minutes already? It's kind of mind-blowing. Time goes so doggone quick when we're working on these live streams. All right, same pattern, different material. Let's see what we get this time. And granted, I did make a slight adjustment on the stitch length, but we did that with the leather as well, so it should be the same outcome or close. All right, here we go. I'm going to intentionally slow it down now. Slow it down, put a little bit more pressure on that foot controller. Okay, so this is our cotton sew off. Same pattern, same settings. And we'll see what we think of this one in comparison to the leather. I'll try to show you both of them, but I'm not going to try to balance them like I did before. That's a little bit awkward. Yeah, maybe I'll try it anyway. Okay, so that's interesting. It's interesting. They're similar. Let's see if I can do this here. It's the best I can do. We'll look at both of them at the same time, assuming the camera will let us do that. Hope it does. Okay, so the top sew off is going to be, let me see here. It's going to be opposite. Yeah, I think it's going to be opposite. But anyway, these are the two that you chose. We'll just say that. The two that you chose top stitching. Okay, and now the lock stitching. I'll do my best to show you that. You're not going to be able to see much on the leather, obviously. Let's see here. This is our lock stitching on the back now. Lock stitching there. Lock stitching here. There we go. I think I got it lined up pretty good. That's just camera. I don't want to work on Saturdays anymore, Scott. It's in my contract. It's in my contract. I don't want to work on Saturdays anymore. Herr Obermeister and Dr. Singer don't work on Saturdays. Why do I have to? Right? That's what the camera is saying. So at any rate, it changes when you go from one to another. You can see what we've done so far on the cotton. If I kind of hold it like this, the last patterns we sewed are on the very bottom. The ones on top are the ones we did first on this 100% cotton. Again, if you want more stitch definition, go to a smaller needle. Use a different type of thread. For our generalist purposes during these live streams, we use a standard type XP thread that's available at Joann's. And we use a more mid-range needle because we're going to be going into some of these leathers. And the leathers are not going to treat a 7511 embroidery needle with quite as much kindness as they do a different type of cotton material, or some sort of a blend material or something like that. Yeah, it's fun to see the contrast, I think. Same thing on the leather as well with the patterns that we chose. See if we do that again with my hand up there, see if that helps it a little bit. All right, let me look at the live chat and see if there's any other patterns that you want to see. I'll show them to you again. Yeah, there's somewhere here. So the patterns I'm giving you the choice of during this live stream again, I mean, quite a few. I mean, 20 up to 24. Up to 24. Anything from over here, we've already done pattern 5 right there. We've already done pattern 20, I believe it was, way over here. We have any of these patterns right here that you can choose from. All the way down to there. I think that's 24 right there. Where's my line? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I pointed at the wrong one. That's the one we did, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So any of the patterns from here all the way over to here. So if there's any other ones you'd like to see, otherwise we can wrap the live stream up. That's fine with me too. I think we've got a chance to see Maxwell's 1960 model 230, which if we have any folks in the live stream today from Germany, 230 Maschine of Deutschland, 230 model from Germany. We've had a chance to see it do a number of sew-offs already. And now you have a choice of 1 all the way to 24. 1 to 24, any of these right here. All right, I'll look at the live chat. I think I held it there long enough. My hand was starting to go numb, so I think I did. I think I did. All right, let's see what y'all are saying. See what y'all are saying. Emma's saying 21. Christina's watching this on her phone and she goes, "It's too small, Scott. It's too small, buddy. Too small." I'm with you, Christine. I'm with you. Even with my reading glasses, it's too small sometimes. So I'm going to get it even closer for Christine, so she might be able to pick one. Looks like Emma picked 21. So I'm going to start right there where you can see I've got it lined up with a 141, and we'll get it nice and close for Christine. So anywhere from that one that it's lined up on right there, the red one, stitch 1, all the way across to stitch 24. All the way just to the left of that C. See that C right there? All the way to that pattern, the yellow one right there is 24. So if you count backwards, 24, 23, 22, 21. The black one we did is 20. This is the one that Emma wants to see right to the left of that black one. At least it's left on my laptop. It might be right on the camera. It might be opposite. Any of those you can pick from. I hope you don't think me giving you a choice of 24 stitches is being overly skimpy. I don't think it is. All right, so let's see. We'll try stitch 21. And for sake of time, I might just do that on the leather. And we'll see how it looks on the leather. Again, universal needles are able to handle leather. It's not the ideal needle for leather, but it certainly is serviceable. It's a serviceable needle to use on leather, without a doubt. So we'll see how it likes that, and then we'll kind of wrap this up because Herr Obermeister's getting a little bit anxious. He wants to go and get a hamburger at McDonald's. I don't eat hamburgers at McDonald's because there was all that controversy about what meat they're made out of. But Herr Obermeister's at an age where he doesn't worry about it very much anymore. He doesn't worry about it. He just goes, "I want a hamburger and I want fries because I worked really hard on this machine with you, Scott, and I want to get rewarded for it, buddy. I want to get rewarded." Yeah. So we'll see what y'all are saying. Christine, you are a kindred spirit. You're trying to count on a Saturday. It's really cruel and unusual punishment, isn't it? Oh my gosh. So we'll do number 19 and number 21. 19 and 21. All right, 19 and 21 is what we'll do then. All right. Let's see here. See what we got. 21 would be that red one. If I got it right, why don't we do them in order? Because it would be 19 and 21. So we'll do the one before and the one after the one we've already done. This would be pattern, the red pattern just right above the shears here. This one right here is going to be pattern number 19. That's the one that Christine from Canada just picked that one. So that'll require a setting of 741, I believe it says, 741. And then we'll do Emma's over here, and that's going to require a setting of 743. So they're going to be really close, these two. We've already done the black one in the middle. And now we're going to do this pattern for Christine over here, 741. And then we'll do Emma's pattern right here of 743. 743, 741. Okay. And I should mention too as well, this pattern card is actually mine from the workshop. This is not a pattern card that belongs to the customer. I kind of keep these on hand when I get these German machines in case the customer doesn't send a card, so we can try to explore the features. And again, I always fall back to the video, shot by shot video I did of all of these stitch settings for the card as well, if we don't have a card itself. Okay, so 741 and then 743. 741, 743. So we'll go to up here and we'll check to see what we're set on right now. We're already set on 7 on Control A, so we don't have to do a thing with that. Now we're going to go to 4 on B. We're already on B as well with 4. We don't have to change a thing with this. This is already there. And we just have to make sure that our stitch or our needle position is moved all the way to position 1, which is at the very top, which gives us a far left needle position. Okay. Other than that, we're good to go. So we'll do Christine's first, and then we'll do Emma's second. Yeah, we'll go with a camera angle kind of like that. You can see Control D do its little dance. Control D is going to do a little dance for Christine. So we'll do this stitch pattern next. And then we'll do Emma's. And unless there's any other input, I'm going to wrap the live stream up. I'll wrap it up. We might, oh, that's not true. That's not true. I might do this saddle grade leather. We'll just kind of do around in a circle. And I'll let you all pick the final pattern that we'll do on this saddle grade leather. And then we'll wrap it up. Okay, so Christine's first. And then Emma's second. Here we go. Yep, making sure everything's set. Looks like I do. Here we go. Okay, that was Christine's pattern. We'll do Emma's pattern, then I'll show you the two next to each other. And they're going to have similar characteristics depending on the settings that we have. They're going to have similar characteristics. Again, a machine like this mechanically is going to generate these stitches manipulating width very rapidly, is how it gets that stitch output through the cam stack. It takes stitch width and it manipulates that needle swing to certain set points based on the cam stack and the cam that it's on specifically. And that's how it generates these stitches. It doesn't use a electronic or computerized type pre-setting programmed. It uses that cam stack by manipulating the stitch width primarily. All right, now we're going to do Emma's stitch after that. And we only have to make one change on it. Remember, we were working with this red pattern, that red pattern. So we had 741. Now we're just going to go to 743, which means the only change we're going to make is to Control C, moving that needle position from a far left all the way to a far right. So we take our Control C. Right now, we're all the way at the top position in position 1. We push it in, we take it all the way down to the bottom, position 3, which gives us a far right needle position. That's all we're changing. Everything else is the same. All right, I think that's a pretty good angle. All right, so here goes Emma's pattern, and we'll see what we think of this one. All right, here we go. And kind of what we ended up with is a mirror image, didn't we? these patterns are going to be a mirror image of each other. So they're going to resemble each other almost identically, other than the fact one is facing one way, one is facing the other way. So y'all start thinking about, and if you want to just pick a random number, that's fine too. But you start thinking about what pattern we're going to lay down on that saddle grade leather as our final sew off on Maxwell LaFawn's 1960 PFAFF model 230. Okay. You let me know what you want to see, and we'll sew around in a circle, and we'll try to do that. All right, here we go. So if you look at this, the sewing we just did is going to be those bottom two rows. The bottom two rows. The one at the very bottom is Emma's stitch. The one at the just above it on the bottom is going to be Christine's stitch from Canada. You kind of see what we generated there. Try doing the hand thing again. So you can see they're exactly the same stitch pattern. You just flipped it. It's just flipped around, right? Lock stitch, it's going to be hard to see like the other ones. It'll be really hard to see that on that nap, isn't it? The way we could get away with that is we could go through 2 layers of this, and then we'd be able to see it back to back, right? Certainly give that a go. Yeah. So do you want to see, if we do it back to back real quick, do you want to see Christine's, or do you want to see Emma's stitch with 2 layers of protected full grain leather back to back? You let me know what you want to see, and we'll give that a go. Yeah, let's see here. We don't need much because it's just a single sew off. Try to get them relatively even, but it's not going to be identical. I'm cutting leather with these scissors, which is okay. It's just amazing how easy it cuts. Crazy how easy it cuts. All the way to the point, too. All right, I'm going to set these over here. These are beautiful stitches. They really are. Lovely, lovely stitches. As soon as I want the camera to focus, it's like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. Now it's saying, okay, all right, whatever. All right, so let me put these back to back so we can see that lock stitch with a little bit greater ease, quite a bit greater ease. And this is what we're going to be sewing through, right around 5 to 6 ounces of leather. Kind of see that from the side. 5 to 6 ounces of leather. And we don't have to do either Emma's or Christine's. If you want to pick a totally different stitch for us to go through 2 layers of this protected full grain leather, we can do that as well. I don't want to limit you. I'm going to get this into position though, so we're getting ready to stitch whatever we're going to stitch. I'll be a good boy and kind of offset it a little bit. That way, if Maxwell over in Colorado wants to try stitching down on the other side of it, he can do that as well. All right, let me look at the live chat, see what y'all are saying. Oh, hello to Molly. Hello to Molly as well. Great to have Molly here. The moderators, the leadership team could tell me, I don't know if Molly has been in a live stream before or if this is her first time. It's always great to welcome new people to the Cow Country family. And it's great to have you here, whether it's your first time or whether it's your second time or third time. So, all right. So someone is saying, let's do Emma's. Let's do Emma's. And Emma's was the second one, 743. It's the one we just did. 743, I believe. Yep. So I'll just sew Emma's again, but this time we're going to have a second layer of protected full grain leather, about 6 ounces of leather. That's not an easy sew off. And again, if you don't know a thing about protected full grain leather is chemically treated. And chemically treated means it's tough to get through this stuff, especially not using a leather needle. Chemical treatment is done to protected full grain leather so that it's resistant to staining, and it's also going to be more resilient and more durable. That's why they chemically treat it. Let's make it last longer. Let's make it more durable. Let's make it stain resistant. All that translates to it's a lot harder for that needle to get through, especially when we're using a decorative ornamental stitch with a non-leather needle. But we're going to do it anyway because cow country people, they are rebels and they tend to color outside the lines. And as most of you know, Schmetz Needles is following cow country on Facebook and on YouTube now. The needle company, Schmetz, if you haven't heard of Schmetz, you've been under a rock somewhere. So Schmetz Needle, the same needle we're using in this machine today, that company, the big shots, the needle guru people are following us now, and they always cringe when I do a live stream because I tend to color outside the lines. Universal needles can sew leather, but it's probably not recommended that you're sewing 6 ounces of protected full grain leather. You saw how thick that stuff is. It's like this thick right there. It's like that thick. And they're saying that's not good. That's not a good thing to be doing, Scott. Don't be doing that, man. Don't be doing that. We're going to do it anyway. Yeah, we are. We're going to do it anyway. All right, let's see what happens. Love that voice of confidence. And I'll get closer so you can watch the stitches being laid down as we go down these 2 layers of protected full grain leather. This is a tough sew off, especially with a decorative ornamental stitch. All right, here we go. Emma, this is your stitch, girl. This is your stitch. You know what I'm going to do real quick, too? I'm going to use my little magical clips that Paula Noel gave me. Paula Noel, that sweetheart of a gal from West Palm Beach, Florida, sent me these little clips to make my life easier. And I'm very grateful for them. Very grateful for them. All right, get that last one on over there. Okay, we'll see if this helps. All right, so we're sewing on 2 layers of protected full grain leather. We're sewing Emma's stitch, and we're doing this specifically so we can see that lock stitch with greater clarity on the back side of this protected full grain leather. And again, when you turn leather like this, you've heard of people talking about the grain of wood, right? You always cut with the grain of the wood because it's easier to do that than going across the grain of a wood. When you take leather like this and you face it back to back, you're going against the grain. So that's also going to make this sew off a little bit more challenging, but that's okay. This is a PFAFF 230 that has a big dose of workshop magic, so I think we'll be okay. Hopefully. All right, here we go. And I'm going to give it a little bit of gas. We'll see if we hit that protected full grain leather and see if that needle just stops. I kind of love it when it does that because it reinforces how difficult this sew off, in fact, is. We'll see what happens. All right, here we go. You see that? Did you see that? That needle hit that leather and it was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to say it because I'm a country boy. I'm just going to say it because I'm a country boy at Cow Country. That needle hit that leather and it was like, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. No, 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 no. Bad mistake, Scott. Don't do it. All right, I'm going to give it more gas. Hopefully we can plow through this. Here we go. Oh, boy. We really hit it hard. All right, let's see what happens. Come on. Come on. You can do this. You can do this. The other factor we have as well, as I'm kind of mowing through this, the other factor we have is that this is a much more slippery surface of the leather. The backside with the nap has a little bit more bite on the feed dogs. Right now, we've got a slippery side down, and those feed dogs are doing their best. Like in Wisconsin in the winter, they're saying, Scott, why do we have summer tires? Why do we have summer tires and you're giving us a sew off like this when we should have winter tires? Well, I'm just going to say, do your best. Do your best. All right, let's get this done. Come on. Come on, you can do this. You got this. You got this. Come on. Come on. Come on. Don't give up. Don't give up. You got it. You got it. Come on. Come on. Work it. Work it. Work it. Work it. Work it. Yes. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. All right. And some of the people at Schmetz Needles right now are having minor cardiac arrests. I think in the medical field, they call them TIAs. It's like a mini stroke. Don't have a stroke. There's a lot of workshop magic in this machine, and it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, folks. We got this. We got this. Okay, so I don't want to lose my bearing here. This is the top stitch. This is the lock stitch. Top stitch, lock stitch. As a matter of fact, I'm going to leave the clips on so that I don't get screwed up and tell you the wrong thing. All right, I'm just going to leave them just like that. Cut, cut, cut. Cut, cut, cut. All right, this is our top stitch. And we know that because I actually put the clips the right way. This is our top stitch. Thank you, Mr. Camera, for actually helping us here. Thank you. Folks, that's 2 layers of protected full grain leather on a very, very tired universal needle. I'm impressed. I don't know about y'all, but I'm impressed. We'll turn it like this as well. You look at that top stitch. Come on, camera. That's some beautiful stitching. It really is. Beautiful stitching on the part of Maxwell's 1960 PFAFF Model 230. Beautiful top stitching. And now we have a chance finally, because we did them back to back, we can turn this around now and you can finally see that lock stitch with clarity that we couldn't even get close to seeing when that lock stitch was being buried in that nap. So I'm going to rotate this around and we'll have a chance to look at that lock stitch as well. But before I do that, just to be a little bit dramatic, look at the thickness of what we just went through. That's the equivalent of a heavy duty belt. We just sewed through the equivalent of a heavy duty belt. And that's why when I was kind of holding that power back of that 1.3 amp motor, that needle hit that leather and it stopped. It wouldn't even go through. It would not even go through because we're talking about 2 layers of protected full grain leather. 2 layers of protected full grain leather. There's a real good shot of that top stitch. Well, let's turn it around. Look at the lock stitch now. Let's turn it around. What are we going to see? Are we going to see a bird nest? Are we going to see just a mess? Are we going to see like, whoa, that's shocking? And the Schmetz people will be saying, ha ha, I told you, Scott. I told you not to do that. Ha. Well, sorry, guys, it's Schmetz, but we have a beautiful lock stitch as well. We've got a beautiful lock stitch because this machine is ready to get the job done. This machine is ready to get the job done. Let's get in there and really take a look at that. Come on, camera, do it for us. Do it for us, camera. But you see what we got down here when that needle hit and it just stopped, we got just a little bit of a goopy goppy over there. I think that's the official sewing term. The official sewing term is when that needle stopped and that bobbin was trying to advance the thread, we got a little goopy goppy over there. And don't ask me how to spell goopy goppy. If someone wants to spell goopy goppy in the live chat, God bless you. God bless you for trying to spell goopy goppy because I'm not going to give it a go. I'm not going to give it a go. But there's some beautiful lock stitching, and it's so nice to be able to see it because we put that leather back to back. Beautiful stitching. Get a little bit closer. Beautiful, beautiful lock stitching, beautiful top stitching. We'll look at it like this as well, see if the camera will be nice to us. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Don't focus on my jersey, focus on this. Thank you, camera. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is a page 34 plus lock stitch if I've ever seen one. And again, what we just sewed through is that right there. See if I can do it like this. Probably about 6 to 7 ounces of leather. And it laid down a gorgeous top stitch. There's our top stitch again. Beautiful lock stitch. This again is a pattern that Emma picked out. Lock stitch. Maybe like that. There we go. Now you can see it. That's a lot of leather. I don't care how you slice and dice it. That's a lot of leather no matter how you slice and dice it, and especially protected full grain leather with its chemical treatment to keep it from staining, to give it more durability. We just sewed like patio blocks. So the people at Schmetz can take a breath, relax, don't sweat it. We got you. We got our back. We got your back. Don't you all agree? We got the back of Schmetz. We're not going to embarrass them. We love our Schmetz needles. But we're going to broaden the thinking of the Schmetz people, saying, we did not know at Schmetz. We didn't know at Schmetz that you could sew through that much leather with one of our universal needles, especially only a size 90-14. That's a pretty good size needle, but probably when you're going through this much leather, you should be using a size 100, which is a size 16, maybe even a 110, which is a size 18. But we got a lot of confidence in Schmetz, don't we? Yeah, we do. We got a lot of confidence. And as I always say, there's the proof in the pudding. You don't have to take my word on it. You can rewind and go, oh my goodness, gravy. Dusty from Colorado loves when I say that. Dusty from Colorado, our master leather worker that did work for Alice Cooper and Johnny Depp. And if you do Facebook, you just saw the post of his really cool embroidery machine from 1928. I'm going to be sewing on that machine when I go out to his studio he's out in the high desert of California now. I always said he was in Colorado, which he was until recently. Now he's out in the high desert of California with his partner, Dawn, and they wanted to get closer to Hollywood because they have a lot of celebrities they sew for doing leather work. And Dusty loves it when I sew leather like this on what by definition is a household sewing machine. He goes, you blow me away, dude. You're the only one in the world that sews leather at that level with household sewing machines, and you make it look like a light industrial machine. You just do, man. You just do. So yeah, watch for that sometime in the future. I don't know when, but maybe I'll drag Emma or someone else along with me. We'll kind of make the road trip. We'll go out and see Dusty out in the high desert. Maybe he'll have, who knows, maybe he'll have one of his celebrities in the workshop and we can do like a hanging out thing, with them or something like that. I don't know. But that's all I have to show you today. And I'm grateful for all of you, for your patience, for your attention, for your involvement, and for celebrating this great machine. Celebrating this great machine with Herr Obermeister and me. Yeah, this is my homie right here. This is my homie. He has glasses like this too, but he doesn't wear them. He thinks it makes him look old. I think it makes him look cool. So maybe you can encourage Herr Obermeister to put the glasses on. The doctor wears his all the time. He doesn't worry about it. The doctor, let's see if I can reach him over there. Oh, where is he? Doctor's got his cool glasses on all the time. He's like, whatever. I don't care. I think I look sexy. I think I look young. That's what his wife tells him anyway. Yeah. So Herr Obermeister needs to get in the groove too and put his glasses on and be just as cool as the doctor and me. I'm going to set you guys right over here so we can go through the sew-offs we did. And we do have one more sew-off to do. I'll do it kind of at the tail end as everyone is like saying their goodbyes and everything. And y'all, if y'all want to pick out a stitch for me to do between 1 and 24, between 1 and 24, we're going to do our final leather sew-off on this saddle gray leather with Maxwell's 1960 Model 230. That's our final sew-off. I'm going to sew around in a circle like a little kid running in a circle. That's the way I am. But in the meantime, we'll look at all these stitches we've already done. On camera, 2 layers of saddle gray leather. We just saw that. 100% cotton. This was our little micro attempt sewing stitches that are designed for twin needle sewing, and we did them with a single needle. They didn't turn out so great unless you really squint. If you really, really squint, they look pretty cool. But otherwise, you're like, I can't see anything. I can't see anything because they're so teeny tiny. It's because they're designed for twin needle sewing. And that's this side of the card right here. You can see the contrast, how this looks smaller. This is a little bit, that makes the stitching patterns look a little bit chunkier. Single needle, twin needle, single needle, twin needle. And ideally, you don't want to do twin needle sewing with a single needle because they just look weird, right? They look weird. But whatever, we did it. We did it anyway. And then finally, we did the saddle gray leather single layer. And we did these fun little stitches here. Yeah. There they are. There they are. Thank you, camera. Thank you, camera. Yeah. So anyway, we goof around and have all kinds of fun. We're going to goof around doing this final sew-off on the protected full-grain leather. Herr Obermeister and the doctor are going to be kind of watching things, hanging out with us. Matter of fact, I'll turn them like this so they can watch the knob do its little dance. See if we can get them to stand on something. What can you guys stand on? What do we have for you guys to stand on to make this easier? I'll tell you what, I'll give you a brick. I'm going to put you on a brick. This is actually a brick inside of here. I kind of lean machines against this when I'm working on the bottom of that, but the boys are going to stand on this so they can watch the action but not get knocked over by the knob doing its dance. All right, you guys are going right there. Cool. All right. Yes. All right, let's see if anybody gave me a stitch to sew. I'm going to move all this to the side. Get our protected full grain leather. Whoa, I killed the doctor. Oh my gosh. Medic, medic, the doctor's down. The doctor's down. Oh, Herr Obermeister's down too. Oh boy. We've got crazy abusive things going on here. Sorry, guys. It's probably not a good choice. Let's get you guys really close so I can't knock you over as easily. Get you right there. Here, let me slide the machine back a little bit. All right, the pads are still there. You might have noticed I've got these pads underneath the pedestal feet, non-skid pads. Otherwise, this machine would be like hopping around. So I've got pads underneath all 4 of the pedestal feet. There's one that's right underneath the raceway. There's one here, one there, and then there's 2 on the back as well. And that's the only way you can keep these machines when they're not mounted at a table. The only way you can keep them from hopping around. So I don't need my brick after all. We'll just put the boys right there. Look up, guys. Look up right there. You can see the all right, let me see what you guys said. Here we go. Pleased to meet you, Candido, Molly B. Yeah. Head. I have no idea what number is the arrowhead, dear. Christine from Canada said, do the arrowhead. All right. I'll try to pick out the arrowhead. I'll show it to you, see if I get the right one. Hold on a second. See what we got here. Is this the one you want here, Christine? Is this the arrowhead one? 212. This one right here. Let me point in it. Is this the arrowhead one? Is that the one, Christine, that you want to see? Or is it this one? There's two arrowhead style ones. This kind of looks like an arrowhead, sort of, kind of. This looks like an arrowhead. This looks like an arrowhead. So which of these three is it? Give me a number. Is it number 1, number 2, or number 3? Which is the arrowhead one you want to see, Christine? Number 1, number 2, or number 3? Someone said number 2. What did y'all say? Ha! Emma's saying 12. I'm so confused. Number 12. All right, let's see what number 12 is. I'm totally lost now. I'm totally lost. Somebody text me or something. Somebody call me right now and help me because I'm lost. Okay, what are we doing? I have no idea what we're doing anymore. We're doing number 12 apparently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now this is number 12 right here, the red one. Is that the one we're talking about? Because the one to the left of it looks more like an arrowhead than the one to the right. This is number 12. I believe it's number 12. Pretty sure. So do you mean like number 11 maybe? This is like number 11. That really looks like an arrowhead, which is what Christine was talking about. This one right here. That would be number 11, I believe. I think that's number 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. So I think you mean number 11, don't you? Don't you mean number 11? This one right here? I have no idea. Let me see what y'all are saying. I'm so lost. I'm so confused. Help, help, help. Yes, number 11. We are going to have Scott so messed. I'm like Christine, I'm almost in the fetal position right now. How am I supposed to push the foot controller when I'm almost in the fetal position? I mean, I'm close. I'm so messed up. Ah! All right, so let's do 11. So we need 4, 1, 2. This one right here is the one we're doing where my finger's just above it. No one change it. Number 11. Show me number 11. Yes. That one right there. No one give me any more numbers. Don't call me or text me right now. I'm going to block you. I'm totally going to block you because I want to do number 11 and go have a hamburger and French fries with Herr Obermeister. I'm not going to eat them. I'll just watch him eat, but whatever. Okay, so 4, 1, 2. 4, 1, 2 is what we need. 4, 1, 2. Ha! All right. So control A first. We got to go to 4. All right, we're on 4 with control A. Control A is on 4. Close the door. Now we need control B on 1. Control B has to be on 1. Control B is now on 1, and then we need a center needle position. Excuse me, boys. I got to kind of reach past you here. Sorry. Oh, there's position 1, which is far left. We don't want that. Center needle position. There it is. Or we can go right needle position, which is position 3. Again, the way I'm doing that is I'm pushing this in, and then I'm rotating this. See how I'm doing that? Rotating it. So position 1, down 1, position 2, position 3. We want position 2. All right. We should be all set. We should be all set to sew around in a circle. I almost feel like I want polka music when we do this. Hold on a second. Let me put polka music on. I'm going to try to put polka music on while we're doing this final sew off, and I'm going to try to not knock the boys over. You know what? It's probably better. Guys, why don't you go on the back side? Go back over here, right there. They can still see you. But I'm not going to knock you guys over because it's kind of bad for the grandkids to see you guys keep getting knocked over. It's not good. You know what I mean? It's not good. It's abusive. Let's not be abusive. All right. You can kind of see. Let me move it over here. All right, you can see Herr Obermeister. There he is. There's the doctor. Everybody's in place. Now we need polka music, and then we'll do this final sew-off, and I hope I don't run out of bobbin thread. I don't think I will. I might. You never know. All right. Polka music. Here we go. Final sew-off. All right. Keep your fingers and toes crossed, kids. You never know what's going to happen on cow country. You never know. That sounds like Western music. That's not polka music. Come on. Real polka music. No. 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 All right. All right. All right. All right. This should be polka music. I hope. I hope. Yes. All right. Here we go. Oh, you know what I just realized? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I showed you the wrong side of the card. We got to stop right now. We have to stop. I've got to find the arrowhead on the other side, because to do this side, I'm doing it again. Herr Obermeister, you distracted me. If I do it from this side, we need twin needles. Turn it, turn it, turn it. Where's our arrowhead over here? Aha! Ah, now we got to change the settings. So we need 442, 442. Good gravy. 442. Let's quickly make a change. Oh, this is so embarrassing. 442. Oh, Herr Obermeister. Where did we go wrong? Oh, my goodness. All right, let's keep sewing now. Come on, we're almost out of music. Oh, boy, this is horrible. Yes. This sounds more like circus music to me, doesn't it to you? Let me fast forward. Hold on. Polka music, polka music, polka music. Hold on, hold on. We're almost there. United States Marine Band. We got polka. Come on, go, boys. Go, 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 go. You're tired. I'm more tired than you guys are. That's exhausting. Ha ha! Perfect timing. Right at the end of the song. None of this sounds like polka music to me. Come on, guys. Yeah, that's not polka music. It's closer to polka, but not really. Come on, guys. Yes! That's polka music. And again, that's protected full grain leather. Protected full grain leather. Ha ha! That's fun. We should all be like kids and sew in a circle sometimes. You know that? What'd you guys think? Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool too. All right, that's it, folks. Thanks again to the, let me shut this off. Now it won't stop poking. Thanks again to everybody for joining us on a busy Saturday. It's always fun to have the family come together. And this is a great way to end. Again, just showing when a machine has received greatness back by being at the workshop, it's able to do crazy, crazy things. Like so, a decorative ornamental pattern like this, which has a crazy amount of very rapid needle swing, going through a saddle grade leather like this and laying down beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stitching. And what a great pattern to kind of have that arrow going around and around and around. Perfect, perfect pattern selection on the part of, I think it was Emma and Christine that picked this, right? I lost track. I was so confused. But beautiful stitch output by this model 230 from 1960. Again, a relatively young vintage sewing machine from 1960. And laying down some beautiful stitch quality like this as you look at the pattern, really, really close. Really close. Don't you love where I started out over here? I had given us the settings for twin needle again. I'd given us the twin needle settings for that arrowhead, and you can see what it does when you're not using a twin needle. So it kind of like we warmed up and we're like, okay, I'm doing it, I'm almost there. And they get, whoa! Oh! You are getting very sleepy. You are getting very, very sleepy. We're going to do hypnosis now after sewing. Yeah. Kind of like what was that? It wasn't the Twilight Zone. It was the Outer Limits or something that had the thing spinning at the beginning, wasn't it? Kind of like this. I think it was the Outer Limits. Maybe it was the Twilight Zone. I don't know. One of them had it. But the result is it's gorgeous stitching. Top stitch and also the lock stitch through saddle grade leather. So how do you top that? I don't think you can. So this is what we did on camera, off camera. I'll focus just on camera first. We started, I don't even know where we started. I have no idea. But we did saddle grade leather. We did 100% cotton. We did protected full grain leather, 2 layers of that. We did a single layer protected full grain leather as well. Kind of put these like that. I have no idea. Then we did this 100% cotton. And again, I was sewing a twin needle pattern from this side of the card with a single needle. Not advisable. Don't do it. Please don't do it. And then we decided to switch over to the single needle side over here. And we did 1 stitch line. It's like, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to look. Let's do that more often. Yeah, let's do that more often. So again, for review, since I got confused as well, sort of, kind of, single needle, twin needle, single needle, twin needle. Yeah, do it like that, and you will have success, and your children will sing praises of song to you every Saturday, every leap year. Not very often, but whatever. It's the way kids are these days. Okay, so that's it. I'm wrapping it up. You all say your goodbyes. Wave goodbye to Herr Obermeister and the doctor. They're over there. Yeah, they are. And again, thank you to Maxwell LaFont for sending this fabulous 1960 Model 230 to the workshop. Heading home to Denver, Colorado now, and he can begin to play and have fun with it. Right, Herr Obermeister? Yeah, here he is underneath there. Yeah, he's underneath there somewhere, underneath the machine. So take care, everybody. It's officially now time to close the workshop for the weekend. All right. Take care. Thanks to the moderating team. Thanks to everybody. Welcome to all the new folks. And stay tuned for the next live stream, which should be Tuesday. And I might be doing a mystery unboxing. A mystery unboxing. So keep it on the lowdown. Don't tell anybody else. It would be mystery unboxing a machine from the great state of, doggone it, the initials for the state are TX, but I never can remember what state that is. Could someone type in the live chat, what are the initials for the state TX? What state is that? Kentucky? No, that's not right. That starts with a K. Maine? No, that starts with an M. Delaware? No, that starts with a D. I have no idea. At any rate, this machine we're going to be unboxing on Tuesday is from TX, whatever that is. I have maybe Tex-Mex. Yeah, that's what it is. The state of Tex-Mex. Maybe. I have no idea. Yeah. Okay. See you guys. Take care and God bless. More polka music now. Give us more polka music, would you, please? Yeah. I think that's the end, you guys. We're supposed to. Could somebody, Mr. Bean, can you shut off the camera? We're still rolling. We're still live right now. No, my hands are tied up. I can't do it. You didn't do it. I did all of the stuff. And they confused me so much. I'm like in the fetal position and you can't even shut the camera. Come on, guy. Just click the. What do you mean you can't? You can do that. Come on. Just go over there and click the camera. We're all done now. We can go and get Herr Obermeister a hamburger. And no, you can't have a hot apple pie, Mr. Bean. It's not a British thing to do. It's just not a British thing. It's come on. you're supposed to be go over by the laptop and click the button so that, we can. Thank you. Thanks. Jiminy Crickets, it's so hard to get good help these days. I'll see you guys on Tuesday morning. And like Emma pointed out, Central Time. God bless everybody. See ya.